Okay. Everybody can see you guys, or you can hear you guys.
Good with that?
Hello, everybody. Hello, Finish.
Hello.
If you want to join the vocals, I can drag you in. Just join the Discord.
Go! Yes! Let's
I'll
go!
drag you. Oh no.
Tyler is having a roller coaster of emotions over there.
Let's go.
Excuse me.
How you doing, Finish? Let me see how this going if I'm able to voice my dots. Yes. I know it is difficult with the language barrier.
For sure.
I'm probably the least patient person here, though. That makes you feel good. Ew. Fuji apple pear. We got energy drink, y'all.
Nice.
Caffeine.
Love caffeine. Never good enough.
I know, it's fucking Renekton. We had to kill the Renekton, and then I get back to lane, we get the fucking instant. There's no fucking XP there.
I didn't even
No,
like
finish
notice.
you.
I always love your shirts. He's got some cool clothes.
My friend, so shameless plug for my friend Allie Mack. This is a design that she came up with from her new clothing line, Gay Panic by Allie Mack. I think all of her designs in one form or another.
That's dope.
Uh, I fucking love this stuff, dude.
It's good quality.
It is.
Hell
It's like
yeah.
super comfy.
Hell yeah. We all a bunch of sensitive ass bitches up in here.
No doubt.
I'm not joining at least yet. Okie dokie. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Um. So I want to like start with talking about men's mental health, obviously, but it's not stuck there. We can talk about anything really. I don't really care.
Sure.
Um. But for the topic, my goals, I guess, I wanted to just like speak them, and then if you guys had any goals or anything that you I guess maybe like expectations, not that like cuz I said there's no expectations, but there could be, you know what I mean, some expectations. And that would be a good thing I think to talk about. But my goals or expectations would be to bring awareness to a very important topic, which is men's mental health. It's not talked about enough, even though I think it's a topic that's like growing. To potentially validate people, aka men. Learn more about the topic myself as a woman. I don't know very much about the topic. I've only watched like a handful of videos and talked to a handful of people, but like only so much. So this is like going to be a really cool opportunity to like get a lot more input. Hopefully other people learn, other women or men that like I know that it's very possible that there's men that feel a lot of these things but don't realize it, and like hearing it from somebody else could help them like, oh, I'm not crazy, like whatever, like this is normal, and like things like that. And I think that can always be really helpful. And
I think it's
then
important that it's not even just uh,
He definitely.
hearing things that they may not have thought of before, but also things that they just may not have wanted to accept, you know?
yeah.
And that's, I think that's a big part of the struggles with men's mental health is, I mean, shit, toxic masculinity in America, at least, has been the norm for such a long time
Mm-hmm.
that, I mean, I'm talking like until the last maybe maybe 15 years. But no, yeah. So no, not just
Literally,
new
that is
thoughts,
a good
but
point. And men that have said things. I've spoken to men that I feel like they've like tried to speak, but they're invalidated so quickly that they don't go any deeper. And I've
yep,
noticed that like if you do validate people and even men, they'll like keep going. And
absolutely.
they'll keep going until they cry, which is crazy. It's like all that it takes is just letting them talk and validating them and like asking for more essentially, but not like just saying it outwardly, I guess. So it's
Yeah,
like it's things that they want to express and maybe even have expressed, but it's been shut down by everybody. So it's like I think as humans, our natural instinct is to like be social and communal. So it's like if nobody in our life is accepting of a thought, a theory, a feeling, an experience, it's so easy for us to like gaslight ourselves or just like not want to accept it or fall into like a cognitive dissonance with that and what's happening, like what you feel and what's happening, just to like go through life without feeling consistent injury, I guess, if that
yeah,
makes sense.
it does. And I've got some stuff that I want to say, but I don't want to monopolize the conversation with you. So, Carrie, is there anything that you wanted to chime in with?
No, just that I saw a meme somewhere that was it was a psychologist, and well, I guess it wasn't a meme; it was just a quote. But he said, "Men are so starved for attention. If you genuinely compliment him, he'll do anything for you."
So I have a very specific example for that. I'm wearing glass. It's funny. I'm wearing glasses right now. These aren't prescription. These are just blue light filtering so that I can look at the screen for longer because I'm a
Yeah.
fucking degenerate gamer. But anyway,
Hi,
um, I don't
Misty.
I don't need prescription glasses anymore because I got LASIK when I was around 30 years old, sometime around then. But I have needed corrective prescription to be able to see right since I was at least 18. That's when I first realized it. Um, and I wore contacts for a long time because I didn't want to wear glasses. And I'm not going to dox this person. I'm just going to say this person's name. I was working in a corporate office. I had worked there for years. There was a floor of about 100 to 120 people on this floor that I was in charge of for a good portion of the day. And anyway, I had worn contacts forever. I heard that glasses would be more convenient, so I'm like, yeah, fuck it, why not? Let's give glasses a try. And I can still tell you the moment that the day I got glasses, I was sitting up in my cubicle, elevated above everybody else, and this young woman, Stacia Trumbauer, came up and she told me how nice I looked in glasses. And that was fucking 22, 24, 20, between 22 and 24 years ago. And I have never forgotten that compliment because it is that rare that men get a genuine, unprompted compliment. And I think
Yeah,
the unprompted bit is really fucking important because I've come to accept that I'm kind of an attention whore. I don't like you probably wouldn't think that in general, but if I'm in a relationship with somebody, if I'm feeling sad, I'm like, hey, tell me I'm pretty. Because, it's just
Your words of affirmations. You like to be told things.
yeah, not all the time, but sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not feeling that great. I know that you think that I'm sexy because you do it with me. But, still, I could really use to hear it right now, or I could really use to hear that you like me, and this is a reason why. That's really fucking helpful.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
getting those, like, I'm not afraid to ask for compliments was my point there. But
But only
getting a
from a partner?
compliment, yes.
Okay.
Partner or real close friend.
Got you.
Like it's no, maybe really it is just partner. I don't know that Like, I don't think I've asked a friend for a compliment 5 times in my entire life.
Do you feel like you need compliments from your friends as much, or you naturally get confirmation?
I don't question it, I think is what it is. And a big part of that actually, so this ties in kind of to what I wanted to say a few minutes ago when you had talked about if a person tries to bring something up and they get knocked down, they don't get an engaged response. They don't get a
Yeah.
positive response. They don't get the type of response that they were looking for. Let's think about. So I can only talk to my experience. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I've not studied this shit in university. I've not read the books or anything like that. What I can tell you is that my experience growing up as a boy, young man, grown ass man, old fucking man, is that for the at least the first half of my life, I had like 2 goals: make money, get women. That was it. Those were the only things that were important in life. And it does sound funny, but it's the fucking truth.
It's not funny. I think that's
Every
real. But I have a
every
question.
what's up?
When you say get women, oh, Carrie. I think Carrie's trying to speak, but I can't understand. Your microphone's kind of being wiggity wiggity whack.
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, okay. It was probably just picking up background. Sorry about that. Fuck, what was my question? When you said get women, did you want to just get a bunch of women, or were you looking for
Yes.
the woman?
No, I was never looking for the woman until and that's a big, deeper thing.
Okay.
I'm real fucked up. I've got a whole bunch
Yeah.
of
I feel.
sexual trauma, mommy issues. I've got all that shit. Have worked through, have accepted, whatever. But when I was young, no, I never looked for a relationship. I looked for female attention and as much as possible from as many places possible. I don't care who it's from, just yes, I wanted it. And that's because that was like, I'm not exaggerating when I say every male figure that I respected outside of my dad, that was what was important to them: getting money, getting women. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so when we talk about wanting to be vulnerable is what it really comes down to. Wanting to share something that makes you feel vulnerable for sharing, right? Things that would impact your mental health, like, hey, I'm not having a good day. Telling your friend, hey, tell me I'm cool. You know, as a guy with 2 goals in mind, and you know that every other guy has those same, or you believe that every other guy has those same goals, I can't say to my friend, like, man, I'm feeling really fucking sad right now. I can't say that because that makes me look weak. That makes me look like he's gonna judge me negatively for that. I can't say that to a woman because I believe that that's going to make her less interested in me. And so you just don't.
And it's possible you believe that due to experience. So.
Oh yeah, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's not even from stuff that you have done. It's learning from what you see as the mistakes of others, and you believe the bullshit that other people tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll hear somebody will have talked about being sad or depressed, and someone else's past trauma has taught them to look at that as a negative thing, and that person will talk about that as a negative thing. Like my mom, I love my mom to pieces. She told me, and I'm a grown ass man at this point. I'm mostly grown ass man at this point. My sister older than me. My mom is significantly older than us. Like, we had older parents, and my sister told my mom that she felt suicidal, and my mom's reaction was to be pissed off and ask my sister how she can think like that, how she can talk like that. How could you tell me something like that? How do you think that makes me feel? Where did I fuck up? So there's no fucking chance that I would ever say anything. Like, to this day, there is zero chance I would say that to my mom, which
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm in a really good mental spot, but things like that. You hear things like that all your life.
I will say
You know?
that one's like a
Ooh,
little bit less male driven, I feel like, because she's not
yes.
even that's just, I don't want to like label it necessarily, but it's a very much like projection. Like,
Yeah.
don't, it's like anything that's wrong with you guys, she internalizes it as a wrongdoing, is guilty, but instead of feeling the guilt, she like lashes out and projects that you're bad, and it's like
100%.
just so toxic.
Yep. No,
Which
no.
definitely just makes
Misdirection.
you can't talk. Yeah,
Yeah, yes. And Specs pointed out something in chat. How selfish of you to want to take your own life. So I am going to do a little bit of personal sharing right now. When I say my mom, that's my adopted mom. My biological mom, she killed herself like immediately after I was born. I have zero memories of her. I was adopted. And I didn't find out that my mom killed herself until we were in family therapy for some behavior issues with my sister when I was in elementary school. I was lied to my entire childhood about how my mom died and what happened to my mom. And it was this big family secret that nobody wanted to tell me that my mom killed herself. Like, it was a
Mm.
bad thing. We don't talk about that. You don't. And when I was told about it, I was exactly like Specs said, how selfish of you to want to take your own life. I had real strong negative opinions of people who commit suicide because of how I was raised before I had any way of understanding it. So that's exactly fucking right. That's a real thing. So it's just there's all this reinforcement to not talk about these things. You can't think about committing suicide. That's fucking selfish. How dare you? How could you? And well, who commits suicide? People who are depressed. Well, I can't be depressed because that might lead to the other. So no, I'm not depressed. I'm sad. I'm pissed off. And that's what really it comes down to is I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
Like Carrie said, it's misdirect. Like you and Carrie both said, you misdirect things. You can't feel this one thing. And the doctor in the podcast talked about that, where what's the
Yeah.
one emotion we are allowed to feel? It's anger. It is anger. You wouldn't believe it because I try to be kind of a kind, loving dude. I was a little fucking asshole
Oh my
thug
God.
when I was a kid. I have been in significantly more fistfights and brawls
Hear
than
me
you
out.
ever would
Does
have
being
guessed.
aggressive make you more attractive to women?
So, do I think that? No.
Okay.
I don't think I ever thought that.
Okay.
I don't. I don't think that being
Do you think
aggressive.
that in general that's a thing? Do you think that
Um,
softer men are less appealing to women, and that being more aggressive almost like makes you seem more manly, so it makes women want you more? Because it's like, it's interesting to me because I think women are part of the problem of like pushing this agenda, not agenda, but like pushing this narrative of like it's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to be like soft and sad and cry and this and that. It's like women will stay with an angry man, but will women stay with the man who cries every day versus someone who yells every day? Like, and it makes me think like how much women are sitting here accepting, like we say that we're like, oh, men always angry, but like we're also accepting it on a regular basis instead of allowing the other emotions. So it's like interesting to me.
Yeah.
for sure. Go ahead, Carrie.
No, that's kind of that whole thing, that, like you mentioned, that the doctor had said that. Uh, but I don't know. I think when I was younger, I felt like the more aggressive men definitely seemed like they were more attractive.
Yeah.
And see, I think I never. The reason that I say I don't think I ever thought aggression makes men more attractive is I never looked at it as aggression. I looked at it as being tough, being the baddest, being the strongest, being the
Got you.
biggest badass. Because there's a difference there, you know? And
Yeah.
if you were to ask me, do I think that women are more attracted to a man who is tough? I wouldn't like this isn't a statement I would make, you know, but
Yeah.
if you ask me my opinion on that, I think that yeah, women would typically, I mean, people, excuse me, in general, would want a partner who is more tough, a person who can handle more things because they're a person that you can depend on more. But again, we often confuse or associate toughness with aggression and you don't have a lot of chances to show how tough you are. You have to go through shit to show how tough you
Yeah.
are, right? But you can show how fucking aggressive you can be. You can make somebody else show how tough they are, and if they don't, then you're tougher than they are. It's
Interesting.
it's tricky. It's tricky. It's complicated.
That does sound really complicated, actually.
It is. The yeah. Yeah.
But it's like almost like natural for men, would you say? To play this game of like toughness or no?
No, because you don't see it in children. You do not see it in children.
Does it happen during puberty though? Because children, I think, are the same. Their
I,
gender
I
doesn't affect them as much, I feel like, when they're below the ages of puberty. Once they hit puberty, like the physical changes in our bodies happen so much more. But I do think there's some differences, but maybe there's like a lot less.
I agree with you. That I think a kid is a kid, a child is a child. With
Yeah.
regards to it being puberty, being testosterone, like there are observed differences in teenage boys and teenage girls, and that gets attributed to testosterone. And I'm not a fucking scientist. I haven't studied this shit. But what I have studied is statistics. And
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a statistic that I'm saying specifically for shock value. Okay? I don't believe this. This is
Okay.
not something that I believe to be true. But statistically, this is correct. Did you know that there is a strong correlation between ice cream sales and rape?
Wait, what? My brain doesn't even get this.
It's the truth.
Serious?
It's the truth. People, ice cream trucks sell a lot more ice cream in the summer, in the months where it's hot, where people are outside doing things. There are significantly more rapes in the months where where there's good weather, where people are going out all night and doing things. They're correlated, but the ice cream doesn't cause the rape.
Okay.
Right? It's one of those things. And so the reason that I'm bringing that up is that we can't study in my opinion, we can't effectively answer the question of is it puberty? Is it testosterone? Because I genuinely believe it's all learned behavior. It's all societal. It's all cultural. And so you can't study that in a lab, you know. You can't have 300 boys who aren't allowed to view the outside world. They're not allowed to watch TV, movies, social media, comic books, none of that. That's never going to happen. You know, I think that if we didn't have all of those influences, and not just the media aspect of it, but the generations of people who have lived that life
Yes.
of being aggression,
Yeah.
those personal examples, I think that it wouldn't be as natural in boys as we see it now, the aggression.
Yeah, because I think like a strong point is that in a way, I think it is kind of laced within certain DNAs because people are born with a temperament and then their nurture kind of will add to that. So I think some people are born just through a bloodline of more aggressive people and might have more aggressive tendencies versus other people.
Absolutely, yes.
Because that can be for women too. I'm a very angry, very aggressive person. Like,
No way.
yeah, for real, for real.
Never.
You wouldn't believe it, but Yeah. So it's like I feel like I get that from my dad. He's just got a little angry man syndrome. He's the same height as me. Ah.
So, Taffy, you say that men were this way before we had social media or TV, but again, if you can't you can't say something like that without thinking about the context of it. The cavemen, right? If you were to ask me, or no, let's go back to the question that Donnie had asked about, do you think that some men are more attractive when they are aggressive, right? I still think that in caveman times, it still comes back to toughness and survivability, specifically in caveman times. And who's going to be the more survivable one? The
Oh
person
yeah.
who is stronger, the person who can punch off the fucking wolf that might attack you or whatever. I don't know. I haven't studied the Paleolithic era. But it's you're going to go for the stronger person and you're going to go for the tougher person.
Yeah.
And you can't prove who's tougher unless you go through some shit. So there's gonna be some natural selection there. They're like legitimately the
Legitimately
stronger
though.
types. Yeah, the
That's the
stronger
difference
types.
between then and now.
Yes, and that's a big fucking difference. Is if we talk about what makes a partner attractive in general, stability, safety, things like that are going to be huge in that. And someone who's highly aggressive is, probably not going to score as high in the stability, in the safety marks
Yeah, we
of
don't need you
a
to fight
partnership.
monsters and bears as much. We need you to like protect us from social danger and potentially predators and like I don't know. There's like the few things where like you need to have strength, I think, to a certain degree.
Sure.
But yeah, like these things that you like want in a relationship are going to literally look different based on the eras, which is funny.
Absolutely.
Because I think that
Because
men think that women still want what they wanted back when we lived in caves.
well, and so I
Yeah, let's go.
that is so complicated and tricky because I think like, do you mind if I get a little bit political for a second?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so if we go back to 2020 and everybody was talking about the COVID vaccine, and you had different political parties saying, please get the vaccine, and different political parties saying, don't get the vaccine is going to kill you, right? Most of the people with the loudest megaphones, the biggest platforms saying, don't get the vaccine is going to kill you, had the fucking vaccine. They were saying it not because they believed it, they were saying it because it served their interests to say it. And the reason that I bring that up is you had asked the question of, or you had said that, like, we do people still believe that women want the caveman type, the strong, bulky, I can fight, I can defend you, I can do that, the person to fight monsters. I don't personally believe that the people with the biggest mouthpieces, the fucking scum of the earth, Andrew Tate sex traffickers that have such a huge audience to young impressionable males, I don't even think he believes that shit. But it serves his interest to say it. And so he'll keep saying it as long as the checks keep coming in.
T
And, so not even just him, but just
them.
influencers in
Yeah.
general. Yeah,
The
rage
ones
baiting.
that are
Exactly,
trying
Misty.
to rage baiting. Oh yeah, I mean that's all social media now, unfortunately. It's so sad. But that makes
It is.
yeah,
And we
because
have to also think that our brains are working based off uh, what has been bred. So we look at, it was brought up about social media hasn't been around. Yes, but social media, um, let's look at how long even media has been out and
Mm-hmm.
around and readily available versus the length of time that humans have been on the planet. It's a blip.
Yep.
It's a very, very short amount of time.
Yep.
And so we've had thousands of years to condition and to genetically create our brains to look for certain aspects. That's why certain fears are built into our brains, because that's what our breeding has done.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, natural selection, and just general evolution. Yes, I think that I wanted to say one thing about your question of how long media has been around, and I think you could even get more granular than just talking about media. So there's been all different sorts of media, and back in the days of Shakespeare, everybody wanted to be a poet. Why? Because poets were the fucking cool thing. A poet would get laid. A poet would never have to buy a drink. Poets were what a man would want to do to get money, get women. It would work, right? And then if you jump forward to much more recent times, ever since music bands have been popular, how many men have decided they were going to be in a band just to get laid, right? Just to either get rich or get laid. A lot.
That's
The
funny.
answer is a
Yeah.
lot.
Probably same with sports.
Absolutely the same with sports. And, if you I'm going to a very specific point here, but if you if there would have been a study done about the number of men interested in motorcycles and motorcycle culture before the movie Easy Rider and after the movie Easy Rider, there would be a marked fucking difference. But then even more specific than that, Sons of Anarchy, at least in the United States, the show Sons of Anarchy, Jax Teller is the
Yeah.
manic pixie dream girl of men. He is the man who is aggressive when he needs to be. He's tough. He doesn't take no shit. He'll do fucking anything. But at the same time, he's a sweetheart to his woman. He has
Yeah.
all of these red flags, but he'll never lay a hand on her. He'll never do any of that stuff to her, right?
That's
It's
horrible.
it is. And again, if you were to look at the uptick in just fucking biker vests sold after that series came out, it'd be huge. And people aren't doing it because they've had a love for motorcycles. No, they're doing it because it's going to get them the attention they want.
Big facts. Big facts. And it's trendy, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. But so part of it being trendy is the whole image. And that goes
Facts.
back to what we're talking about, where it's you got to be tough. You can't take no shit. You can't complain. Except maybe to your woman. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Depends on the woman. It depends how you do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those two together. You just
Sorry, I think I kind of lost the plot a bit. I talk a lot. You should know that.
We love you anyway.
No, you're absolutely right, Misty. Yes, that was what I was just saying. But I mean, it is related though, because again, all of those things that with the exception of poets, those are all tough personas where we have to be tough. Bikers have to be tough.
I'm sure there was during the poet era other personas that were also tough. That's
Yeah,
kind of like the standard. Sometimes there's multiple standards. There's multiple things you can be that people are like, okay, yeah. There's probably always been, variants of preference, but they just change with the
Yeah.
times.
for sure. But yeah, no, sorry, I definitely took that thread way further than it needed to go.
Oh
Is what
no,
I do.
you're good. That's that's the sad thing that I hate for people. I've definitely experienced that finish. But I just kind of I don't know. I just kind of worked through it. I used to hate crying. I used to hate it, despised it, didn't think it felt good afterwards, the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean? But I definitely
Yep.
don't feel that way anymore. Obviously, I'd be
One
crying.
one of my best friends. Her name is Jen, and we're just friends. We're really good friends. Like, she stays at my house when she needs a place. She travels for work. So anyway, she has had a rough year or two, and multiple times she's telling me about this awful shit that she's been through, awful relationship shit, awful family shit, and she will start crying, and she gets pissed off at herself for crying, and she apologizes endlessly for crying. This is a grown-ass woman, someone who trusts me. I don't want to speak for her and say completely, but she trusts me a lot, you know, and she can't stand to cry in front of me.
And what's crazy is that I don't think that you have to be met with aggression to end up there. Because literally the
Oh yeah,
natural reaction for people when they see someone cry is, oh, don't cry.
it's gonna be
XYZ. The
fine.
natural reaction is to help remove them from the pain and make them happier. No, don't feel this pain. Don't cry. Not, I'm sorry, you're feeling that way. What are you feeling like that? Like, let's talk about it. This is not like the natural reaction is like, oh, don't cry. Like, it's okay. Immediate
Absolutely.
invalidation. And it's like people aren't thinking that they're not trying to do that. They're just trying to make it better. But they're not realizing that what's happening is they're just personally uncomfortable with sad or negative emotion. So they're trying to remove people from their negative emotion and not allow them to process it. Therefore, not being there for them and validating them, XYZ. So it's like, I just think that that's so natural that, like, even normal people just, like, don't want to talk about their emotions because they've been conditioned to not feel, not talk. They don't practice it when you're told to just, don't cry, it's okay, instead of talking about it. You don't learn how to talk about it, which can also just, like, lead to, like, not understanding what your emotions even mean and processing and stuff like that.
So you think we're trying to steer things too far the other way? Now it feels like you have people that hide in safety corners over anything. In this conversation or as a society,
I'm thinking
Taffy?
as a society, but I also don't know what you mean exactly. I hate crying in front of others. I feel that. I used to, like, hate crying in front of people as well. I think that kind of also is a thing where it's a balance of, like, you have to practice crying in front of people, but you have to practice crying in front of people that hold a safe space for you to do that. Because if you keep crying in front of people that don't hold that space, it's going to continue to hurt you over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't feel like you're getting hurt, because you're going to be the first one. That's the thing. That's why you say, I'm sorry, very, very quickly. That's why you put yourself down very, very quickly. And you call yourself an idiot very, very quickly. And you insult yourself very, very quickly. So you can be the first one. Like, you can't hurt my feelings if I fucking called myself a fucking dumbass first. You can't, like, you not accepting me crying doesn't bother me as much if I'm already being like, I'm sorry, because now you're just accepting my apology. You're not telling me I'm bad. You're just accepting the apology I'm already giving. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, you don't need to tell me that I'm bad. I've already told you, I know, I did a bad thing. I'm sorry. You don't need to fucking say it. Yeah.
yes.
And the crazy thing is, we're off the topic of men's mental health, but I still think this is something that's super important to talk about. Is think about when that starts. You're a parent. When Ollie, I'm not going to ask you today, but over the course of raising Ollie, well, I won't even ask you. I'll tell you myself. I have helped directly raise lots of children. I've got one daughter. I have my ex-wife had 3 kids while we were married, and again, grown-ass man, as emotionally mature as I've ever been. When one of them would get hurt, when one of them would start crying, it's not, oh man, that sucks. I'm sorry. It's immediately, what can we do to make it better? It's oh no, come on, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. Come on, let's brush off those fucking scrapes from you falling down a tree. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. And that's the wrong approach. But it's again, it's a learned approach. It's the yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
So we start telling people to just accept that it's going to be okay. You don't even need to say that you're sad, because the only thing that's going to happen is somebody's going to tell you it's fine. You'll get through it. You're going to be okay. You're going to be better than okay. You don't even need to bring up that you're sad, because you know what people are going to fucking say.
And to bring it back to like the men's versus women's thing, I think like as little children, I feel like boys are, it's more acceptable for them to show more aggressive, angry tendencies. And for little girls to cry, it's like, that's normal. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
almost like, go on.
Yeah.
because the again, this is not me saying this, but the society we live in, the culture that we live in, has it's just stated as fact that girls are little women and women are emotional. So yes, girls are going to cry more. You know, it's like you can't deny that
And
that's the
boys will be
society that we live
boys,
in.
like someone said in the
Ex-
chat. Boys will be boys, which
fucking exactly.
excuses certain kinds of behavior. Because if you see a little boy crying, nobody is going to say boys will be boys. They're going to say he needs to grow up, he needs to man up, blah, 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 XYZ. There is
Yep.
no boys will be boys for a little boy feeling emotion. But him throwing things, or if he's feeling emotion that results in anger and lashing out, violence, things like that, then it will be a boys with boys. Because if a boy hits a girl, boys with boys. You know what I mean? Things like that. So it's very like the words are specifically grooming people to be gendered.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
And I want to pause you for just a quick second to say that I could not disagree with what Taffy said in chat anymore. And it has so much to do with what you just said out loud, Donnie. It's that we are conditioning little boys and little girls to take on these gendered roles that makes the grown-ass human beings believe that men and women are different. Like,
in what
Yeah.
yeah,
ways does taffy mean though? Because like, I think there's genetic differences, I guess, but it's
of
like,
course. You've got ovaries. I've got testicles.
yeah,
That's a difference.
which
Yes, we
makes,
have.
I will say that makes different chemicals in our bodies, and the chemicals
Mhm.
evoke different emotions. The emotions evoke different behaviors. So it makes a stereotypical, but also, I know a woman who makes like more testosterone than normal men do in her body. Like, it's not normal, but it still is a thing that can happen. So it's like, it's just kind of damaging to have these society expectations of certain things and not discuss it in the way it blankly is. Like, we shouldn't be saying men should this, men should that, because men are normally supposed to have more of a certain like thing in their body. I feel like the
Yeah.
way we say it is so much more harmful than what it really is.
And I think that, so, no, you're absolutely right, Donnie. Fully agree with everything you just said. I think that the clearest example for me is the belief that is held by way too many people in my experience that men and women are different in a very specific way, and that is men always want sex. Women have sex to please the man. The
Yeah.
idea that women don't want sex as much as men do.
Yeah.
And that is
And men
horse
don't
shit.
want love.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. The
Both of
very
those
black
things
and
are
white
absolute
thinking.
horseshit.
It's
Yeah.
not black and white, and that's why when I talk about that, I like to state that it's like there might be normal genetic balances of chemicals and stuff, and you can have imbalances where like your doctor will call that out. Like that woman has conversations with her doctor because it's not normal based on population, which is really high as well. But it's just like a lot of our differences that society puts in place for like the boxes that we have for gender are not entirely or even mostly based on our physical biology makeup. It's just based on ideas
Yep.
and
Yeah, right.
perspectives and opinions and things like that, which is what we're trying to make a point about. And I'm not sure if Taffy, if you're trying to talk about the actual biology of men and women, which is valid, there is a difference. But I just don't think that we use the biology of men and women anymore. We use a lot of other things to try to. I don't even think it was intentional. I think it was just kind of like a society kind of moved in a certain way. Maybe it was religious and a bunch of things. I think that everything in the world is kind of like a giant algebra problem, which I was talking to Tyler about this. It's like a big algebra problem is different variables. So it's like you have to take all the variables into account into how
Absolutely.
something is what it is, I guess. And
Absolutely.
so that's kind of like Western society is a lot different than Eastern society in different places in the world. So it's like, this is a very, we're talking about Western society 100%. Like, but there's going to
Yes.
be different places in the world that are different because they teach people to be different. So it's
Right.
like the differences
think
between
it's-
men and women will vary depending on where you are.
I think it's funny that you brought up algebra, because I like to liken it to calculus, because the way you solve problems is you integrate.
I don't know calculus.
Same. Sorry, Carrie,
Fuck.
you're on your own here.
Integration is a calculus operation. That's all.
Can you explain it in a way that makes it make sense to people that don't know calculus? Because I'm really curious. Because
Well, you don't
this
need to.
concept.
You just need to know the word integrate,
Yeah.
because the key to success is to have diversity,
Yeah.
right? And you need to integrate all that diversity together.
Yeah.
Integrals and calculus are something completely different, but that's just an analogy I like to make.
Okay, I got
Gotcha.
you. I got you.
So are you kind of, correct if I'm wrong, but like everything's an algebra equation, but as time is going, more things are being integrated into the equation, making it different than what it is. So things are ever changing. Is that kind of what you're getting at? That's kind of
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it is or
yeah.
not.
It's just that we need to understand that that all of our current ideas are they're most of them are constructed. They're constructed. They're learned behavior, and we need to integrate all of that together. We need to get all of that diversity together. Diversity is power.
Yes.
Fully agree. And I think I'm going to bring this back to the podcast specifically, where I think the tagline for that, or the clickbait YouTube thumbnail for that, was something like, "We are in a crisis," and that's something that I agree with.
We as
Men's
in
health.
men, by the way, y'all.
Well, not just like men
Yeah,
are
it's-
in crisis,
and-
but it's a crisis
Yes.
for all of us.
Yes.
And to tie it into what you were saying, Carrie, it is all about integration, and it goes back to what we've been talking about with natural selection and the amount of influence that a person has, and the amount of people that they reach, and what a person is going to see. So if you were to look on the internet right now, if you were a young man looking on the internet for advice on how to get money, get women, I don't believe that's changed. I don't believe that young men these days are looking for, in general, speaking in general, are taught to look for more than those two things.
Maybe add fame. Maybe. It depends on the type
Right.
of person.
Right.
Yeah,
and,
but I think fame is one of the tools that are used to obtain
True.
the other two.
Very true.
True.
But if you look at the influences that they have, if you look at what they see as successful in getting money, fame, clout, women, it's going to be the fucking the people of the world that I don't even want to say their fucking name again because I despise
Saying
them
true
so
mistake
much.
people.
Yeah, but that's the influence that is
Yeah.
going to the younger generation. That's the influence that you, Donnie, are going to have to fucking fight off from Ollie as he grows into a young man, and it is a crisis because it's like the doctor said in the podcast, there's not a better, there's not really a better alternative for them. It's
Yeah.
something easily accessible, something that teaches a good message, something that they believe, something that they can see. No, there's really not. And that, I think, is the crisis, because that's going to cause future generations to integrate more of, at the very least, integrate the same amount of behaviors that we can objectively look at and say are bad, right? They're going to integrate more of those behaviors.
Mhm.
And yeah, it is a fucking crisis. I don't know what the answer is.
I thought it was interesting that they brought up in the podcast how um, why are men flocking to these people, and it's because no one listens to them except these guys. They're
Yeah.
saying, yeah, life sucks. Here, let me tell you how to make it better.
He
Not
made
just
it make
life
sense to
sucks,
me.
but your life sucks. Yep.
He
Absolutely
Yeah,
true.
made
yeah,
it make sense because nobody has been able to explain how somebody like that could be attractive and how someone could fall into these like ways of thinking and whatever. And it was like, okay, like it makes sense, you know what I mean? That's why I
yeah.
admire him and his work so much, is like it's almost like he saw that and he was like, that's my thing, that's my purpose, is to help these people, because nobody, like you said, nobody wants to help them once they're labeled in
Yeah,
these ways with these different terms and behaviors that make
yeah.
people feel these certain ways. Nobody wants to touch them, which there's been
And
lots of different people like that in the past, but I don't think there's very many categories of people like that anymore. I think we're very inclusive for most people in the world, you know what I mean? But there's a couple categories that are, you know,
no, I'm guilty as fuck here, dude. Personal experience from a couple of years ago. I was playing with my World of Warcraft raiding guild. There was a smaller group of us playing games, and my friends had another friend who came into our Discord server. He joined our voice chat. We're talking, joking with him. And he starts saying, Taffy, I'm not coming at you personally, but this other person came into voice chat and for some reason was talking about how, well, no, just men and women are biologically different, And Andrew Tate says, and I'm like, shut the actual fuck up when he said Andrew Tate's name.
yeah.
And like, I'm like, no, that tells me everything I need to know about you. And I absolutely could have been
I
a
have
kinder
done
person
this
about
same
this.
exact thing.
Yep.
I have taken the fact that somebody has done it in my chat. Somebody brought up the name Sandshrew Mistake in my chat, and I banned them immediately because I was
Yep.
like, that person is vile. The fact that you could ever listen to them shows that your mentality has no space in my space. But it was
Right.
like, not that I have to open my space up, but the more that people close their spaces off and
The
do
more
that,
we're
the
going to
more
reinforce their
they go
behavior.
right back to Sandshoe mistake, and are like reinforced
Yep.
essentially.
Yep. We cut off their options. And it's one of those things
We
like
demonize them, we profile them, we do everything that he says that people
we're
are gonna
going to do.
do, and
Yep.
we never do the things that he says we're never going to do. So as long as he's right about us, he's got to be right about everything else too.
Well, and again, he's got the clout. He's got the backup. He's got the receipts to say that this works for me, whether it's all real or not, whether it's the fucking product of sex trafficking and crime. Who knows? I don't think he's been convicted yet. Um, but he can show the lifestyle that these young men want, and so he has credibility.
Yeah.
And there's no one with a platform with credibility taking an opposite stance. And a large part of that is because we take their options away when they deem themselves an incel or something like that. Because incel has come to, the word means involuntarily celibate, right? And that is just fucking. Oh, hi, Ollie. That is a bonkers thing to say because you can't be involuntarily celibate. That's like you can volunteer to be celibate. You can be voluntarily celibate, yes. But you can't be involuntarily celibate because it's something that requires another person. And so like I can't volunteer to not have sex with Donnie. Right? That's not something that I can involuntarily do because it takes the both of us. Right?
I
It's
don't
not
really
something
get
I
that.
can do. So
I'm so confused.
so like I
1 second.
am
What's up, dude? I can't focus when he's staring at
Celibate.
me.
no, you're good.
Celibate, just by its definition, requires a decision.
Put the container in the microwave. Turn the microwave
Yes.
on.
It's like
Don't put any silverware in there when you're cooking it.
I am involuntarily poor. That's not a thing. I didn't volunteer to be poor. I am involuntarily not a millionaire. I am involuntarily not a CEO. I involuntarily don't have a McLaren in my garage, right? None of those are valid uses of the word involuntarily. Neither is celibate. You know, it's celibate is a choice that you make to say, I am not going to have sex. And you can't
Got you. The term
involuntarily do that.
celibate doesn't mean
Yeah,
currently not having sex or cannot have sex. It's like a life choice.
correct. Yeah,
Essentially.
celibacy is just chooses not to have sex.
Life
That's the whole
genital
fucking
choice.
thing. And so for people to, it's so much.
It would be
deeper
like
than that to me.
involuntarily sexless. Would be more accurate.
But even it's the
Not that we need to
involuntarily
do
part but no, it's the involuntarily part that trips me up because saying that means to me, saying that I am involuntarily something means that I am entitled to this thing, and through no choice of my own, I am being deprived of it. Nobody in this world is entitled to have sex with anybody in this world that they don't want to, that doesn't want to have sex with them. That is not something anybody is entitled to.
Okay.
So you,
I get it now. I get it now.
Sorry.
You had to break down both words for me.
No,
wow.
I'm super.
Jordan.
I am super passionate about that idea because the
No, that makes
idea
so
that
much
men
sense.
are
Thank
owed
you.
sex is
Because that
makes me so
I don't
fucking
think
mad.
that men are owed sex. So
They're not.
when you broke down the two words that way, it made it make more sense, I guess. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But like I wasn't
Yeah.
able to put the two concepts together and understand. But the way you worded it made that make so much sense.
But as soon as a person identifies as an incel, we immediately cut off so many options to help them get
Yeah.
out of that escape that label, you know? And it becomes such a negative feedback loop where people in that category just reinforce everything that other people in that category believe. From the fucking language that they use, saying like femoids or things like, or females even, calling human
Oh,
women females
I
is
hate that.
redundant, right? It's,
And that's another thing where if somebody does that, it is a natural reaction. I have a natural emotional reaction, but then I also have a natural reaction to stop listening and to invalidate everything you say from there on forward. And that's been something that I've had to realize
Same.
and actively work against, because just because someone uses that word doesn't mean they don't have anything of value to say, but it's just hard. It's really hard. I've literally been listening to a video by doctors and professionals, and they say boys and females, and I'm like, I'm waiting, say males just one time, and I swear to God, everything will be okay, and they don't, and I'm like, I can't hear what you're teaching me because I'm so offended by the fact that like you don't understand. But it's like, that's the thing, is I'm so offended by something that this person doesn't even realize, and maybe if somebody explained to them logically, they might be able to understand. Not that I've tried to explain it to people and failed miserably, but I also think I wasn't equipped to explain it.
I think that I don't know. I think that you don't give yourself enough credit for being able to make yourself understood and get your point across. The problem, I think, is someone who says female instead of woman or instead of girl is like that's another learned behavior, right? And they might not be part of the group who uses the word female as a derogatory term. You know, people who use the word female as a derogatory term, fucking pieces of shit. People who just don't know better, that when you say female, you'd be like a female gorilla, a female dog, right? Because we don't have a word for those, but we have a word for female human. It's woman, or a younger one is girl. But even that, it's so there's subliminal shit to it. Like when people are being trained for war, one of the very first things that they do is teach them to dehumanize the people they're going to be fighting. And words fucking matter. I am a firm believer that words matter.
Exactly.
And so when you're
But that
calling
was
someone
something
a
we were
female,
teaching people was sticks and stones break my bones, words never hurt me, blah, blah, blah. We've been taught people that words shouldn't matter, so they do, you're a pussy.
yep,
You're thinking too much into it. You're making it too deep.
you're taking it too serious. Yeah.
X, Y, and Z. Yeah. So it's like, they do matter though. 100%. What's up?
Misty, I'm so sorry if you're still here. I think we completely blew past your message about feeling like women typically have more support through their friends. I
yeah.
have never been a woman, so I can't tell you what it's like to be one, but I can tell you again, my experience as a boy, young man has been we don't tell our friends what's wrong. I didn't tell my parents what was wrong. I didn't tell my friends what was wrong because, again, it's fine. It's going to be okay. You shouldn't feel that way. You're going to be fine.
Exactly.
Same.
That's something I was thinking about when we were talking about the parents affecting the kids.
Oh, yeah, dude.
How, like, even, like, anybody can have parents that don't let you feel emotions, but girls usually can go to hang out at school and talk with their friends. Boys can't. Normally. Right. They can't really talk with anyone. And that could be why some boys like to hang out with girls a little bit more. They like to be around people who are a little bit more emotionally aware and open to emotional things and less abrasive and things like that. You just never know, you know what I mean? They might not be gay just because all their friends are girls, you know what I mean? It could be they actually like people who are emotionally cognizant. Not that all girls are, though. Not trying to say that.
Definitely not.
But yeah, so I think that was something I was thinking of, and I agree with Misty, is just like in general, there isn't that, and that continues into adulthood. I've actually met a few men, because we're talking about how there's nowhere for men to go, and I think that there's places for men to go, but there's not enough. It's happening. I think it's growing. I think that the Healthy Gamer GG, that's the only place I've seen where they're like directly targeting incel type people and toxic masculinity type of people, which is great because they need to be hooked. They're not going to look for a men's support group in the state they're in right now, which that's where I've talked to men that I've driven and they're in these men's support groups, and it's like amazing. Like, I genuinely didn't think this happened because nobody talks about it.
Yep.
I had to meet someone who's directly in it to know that they exist.
And I think that that's what you just said. It gets to a whole other issue I have, but it's relevant for this conversation. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier about people not saying what they necessarily believe, but saying what they feel like they need to say or they should say. Or just what they want to fucking say. Believing the opinion of somebody on the internet is practically a fucking fool's choice at this point. At this stage of the internet and social media. If you don't know a person personally, take their opinion with a grain of salt. You know, it's the it could
be a bot.
It could be a bot, it could be a troll,
this
it could be
point-
somebody intentionally trying to give you bad information for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reason it is, you know. I have known a lot of dudes who couldn't get laid, who couldn't get a woman, who weren't tough, who didn't weren't strong, couldn't fight. I've known a lot of guys who fit that category, and none of them, maybe two of them, my eldest brother being one, very, very, very few, very small percentage of them think and talk the way that the incel category does now.
Yeah.
It's like no, real people don't fucking feel that way. They don't
Yeah.
believe that. It is an internet thing where you can validate yourself by saying it enough. I
Yeah,
hate it.
the megaphone thing. You just yelling. Can I ask you something? Because you said
Yeah.
you're talking about these men that like, you know, men that don't have sex and can't get laid, XYZ. But then you also were saying things like they're not strong enough and things like that. So for you correlate those traits to getting laid.
No. What I meant by that is they're not the stereotypically tough guy. You know,
Yeah.
they're not
But that's
they're
not why
not
they
big
couldn't
ballers.
get women.
Right. No. I've known people in all of those categories. Some of them are the same, but not all of them.
Would you say that you've known people who are tough and strong that still can't get women?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I get my eldest brother. If anybody I know watches, I don't think anybody who knows me is going to watch this, but yeah, dude, my oldest brother, he is one of the strongest, toughest, biggest motherfuckers I've ever met. He was a bouncer for a good portion of his life, like professional knockout artist, and he wouldn't say that, but it was a thing that happened. But yeah, just has no idea how to talk to women. And it's because he's one of the people who believes that women are a different species. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. A lesser species probably too.
Oh yeah,
Because
absolutely.
that's
Like
the
I
thing
can,
with the females things is like people don't realize that even if you don't knowingly say females for women and like you're not knowingly being misogynistic, it is dehumanizing women. You know what I mean? And it in a way it shows that in your mind you look at women at like a lower level. Even if you are not able to admit that, see that, whatever the fuck. Cause like
Yeah,
that's just like
it's an indicator.
yeah, it is. And it's like until you're willing to accept that in changing that, it doesn't fully change. Because I think you can start calling women women, but if you don't understand that, if you can't understand how females and women is different, it's almost like, you know, that's a layer of learning.
Yeah,
But maybe it could just be like if people are having a hard time with like vocabulary, because it's also the English language. So maybe it's a more English language issue as well.
I really don't think that's it. There's been a big thing on Twitter this week about authors who are non-native English speakers having a better grasp of the English language and using more words properly than native English speakers. And it's because they're taught to like read the dictionary. So I've
Use
never,
words actually how they're supposed to be,
yes,
not the way we
exactly.
socially push them.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And
That makes
so
sense.
I've met a lot
That's
of
how
non-English
autistic people
speakers.
think. Is like words should be used for the quite literal dictionary definition. And if we don't know that, we should figure it out and we should find a better word. I genuinely feel that in my being. Like, and it's so
True story.
difficult when you're talking to people and like there's like these disconnects and you're constantly trying to like make sure you're on the same page because socially we say so many things. And I think it makes you wonder how much is it intentional, how much is just natural, what our society did, like what our society naturally wanted to do. Is it because men were running things and men don't want to talk about their emotions, so they built a society that is just kind of like, it's almost like, it's funny because we greet each other and we say like, hi, how are you? But we're not actually asking that.
Nope.
So like in other countries, people get so pissed off that Americans do that. They're like, why does everyone ask me how I am?
Why are
Like,
two people trying to surrender?
Jesus Christ. I
Yeah.
can't go anywhere. Everyone's asking me how I am. Like, you know what I mean? And it gets so jarring to other people. And it's like, that's the way we greet people. But that's fucked up. Because now, when someone says the question, how are you? Which is should be a genuine question. People's natural reaction is just to do the greeting response, which is, I'm good.
I'm fine. It's good.
I'm
Yeah.
good. How are you
I'm
doing? Or
living. I'm
whatever.
here.
And if you
Yep.
are awaringly suffering, you come up with these little phrases like, oh, another day in paradise, to make joke and make light of the fact that you're suffering nonstop.
Living the
But-
dream.
Yes. And it's like, no one's allowed to be real, but so people will either be fake as fuck or they'll be real in like I'm just fucking around and joking. But like, don't
Right.
actually question me. I'm not actually trying to dump anything on you. You know what I mean?
Yep. You had asked how we kind of got here, and like to the point, how did society get to where it is with men not being able to talk about their feelings? Was it the idea of men being in charge because we are in a patriarchy, and they just didn't want to? I think that more than didn't want to, it's they didn't feel comfortable. They didn't
Yeah.
feel like they could because again, you got to be strong.
Yeah.
And strong people, they don't show weakness. They don't talk about the things that are wrong. They don't admit that they cried. And then lead by example. And because they're not going to do that, if they're friends with someone who does that, they're going to think less of that person. They might even tell that person, don't say that to anybody else. I've had people tell me that when I was growing up. It's fucking wild,
Yeah,
dude.
me
They
too.
told you what?
Me too.
Don't tell anybody else that. Like if you complain about something, they're like, "Oh, that's weird. You shouldn't talk about that to anybody else. You shouldn't. I wouldn't admit that to anybody." Things like that.
That's a man thing, I think.
100%.
That's a man thing.
100%. 100%. My
Basically
I have
making you feel like a fucking weirdo.
Yep.
For your, not even just like demasculating you, like making you feel like creepy and weird. Like,
Yep.
That's wild. I've
And
never had someone say you shouldn't tell people that.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
think I've ever heard someone say that to me about something, and I'm fucking weird. I've always been weird, done weird things, said weird things, and I don't think I've ever had someone say that. But maybe they did nothing but later. I don't know. That's kind of crazy. That sucks.
Yeah, it's happened on more than one occasion.
Oh my god, that's so sad. Like, cause like I feel like there's nothing you should just never tell anyone. I feel like at a minimum, like a therapist or psychiatrist. You know what I mean? But it's like to say that you should just never say that to anyone is so crazy and so damaging.
Yep. But it's a thing that happens. I have a sister who is a lesbian, and she is a very, very butch lesbian. She would have identified. I firmly believe that she would have identified as being transgender if she were born a generation later, right? But she wasn't, and so she was very much a quote unquote butch lesbian, and she did everything she could to be as masculine as possible. And she is one of the people who has told me, "Yeah, no, you can't say things like that. No, you can't. Don't say things like that. Don't do things like that. Don't ever say that again. Shit like that."
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To totally
100%.
normal feelings, to totally normal emotional things, it's yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny because I was looking at this video of like these scientists were talking about how like apparently it's super normal for like a lot of these really smart professionals, like they have their thing that they know so much about and they're super smart and knowledgeable and helpful, but then they have these other things that they like believe in or think that are just totally whack. And it's like
Dude.
everybody has like a give and take in some way, shape, or form. It's like it's almost like the more far I've always felt this way, but it's like the more far you go on a spectrum, it's like it spreads in both directions. You know what I mean? It's like you're dropping a liquid in the middle of the spectrum, and as far as it'll go on one direction, it's gonna go on the other one too. So it's like that's just how I feel. I don't know if that's a thing for sure, but it just seems
The
that way.
universe will find a balance.
Yeah,
I
essentially.
get what you're saying. So, Finish, I think that's a really excellent point, and I wish there was an answer that made sense. I don't have it. And it's one of the
body parts and science. I would say would have done that if nothing else did.
yeah, but do we need to put a label on sexuality?
No.
Right? Like
Okay, so
what benefit?
labels aren't bad. It's about the way you use the labels. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, because labels can be very helpful. Being labeled or diagnosed has changed people's lives. Finding your sexuality and finding the name so that you can further learn about it can change your life. So having a label isn't bad. It can be very helpful. But the way we use them is so damaging, where we force labels on people. We force things into a label when not everybody agrees on that. Like, if you Google a definition of what it means to be lesbian, there's very few things that it says, but when you talk about a lesbian in a conversation with minimal context, people are filling in a million different blanks in their different minds based on their different opinions and experiences and exposures. So it's like we're not even in the same realm of logic and reality when we're having these conversations anymore, because we're just like like we're not talking to the basis of what things are. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like, if I were to introduce myself to somebody my age as, hey, I'm James, my pronouns are he, him, they are immediately going to have a judgment about the type of person that I am because I tell them what my pronouns are, right? So and I think that I bring that up because you're absolutely right. The labels aren't the bad thing. Putting ourselves in a box is not a bad thing. It's it is the word that I can't fucking remember right now. The preconceived notions that other people are going to put on those
The
boxes.
stereotypes and things like that. Yeah, 100%. And that's where I try very hard to annoyingly. This is like, oh no.
Oh no?
I think I'm crashing, or is my one second. What's going on? Okay, my computer's not crashing, but my Discord is frozen. Let me.
You seem to be going okay.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. Can you hear us?
Close the window. I can hear you guys, but my visuals froze, and I lost my train of thought. What were you just talking about?
Your video's doing fine.
I'm gonna have to. We were just talking about labels.
The labels.
Yeah.
Shit. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Okay, we can just keep talking. I have no idea what I was talking about. Dumb it down a bit. LOL.
I'm gonna have to call it for myself, y'all. I'm sorry, but I'm old and I don't have a whole lot of talking energy in me.
You're good. My shit's frozen.
Thank you for putting this together, Donnie, for sharing that video. Like, legit, that video, I had a hard time watching it at first because the language that the doctor used before he really kind of said what his stance on a lot of things were put me real standoffish. Like, he said something about there being a patriarchy, and like, I'm not going to get into whether there's a patriarchy or not. And I'm like, oh, hold on a second. That's like not disputable. What are you talking about? And to pretend like that doesn't impact everything else that you're going to talk about, that's like calling a woman a female to me.
Yeah.
It makes me raise an eyebrow, you know, but no, by the end of it, fucking loved it, loved him, loved most of everything that he said, agreed with most of everything that he said. It's good shit, and I'm happy to talk about it.
Hell yeah.
Some of it was pretty eye-opening.
It was.
Yes, it
For real.
was.
I
Thank
still
you.
need to finish it, and I'm probably going to watch it again.
LOL in my Discord right now. Thank you for being here, Stimpicus. Am I not in Discord now? Okay. What the fuck, you guys? What the fuck? Working on it. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Hello.
My stuff just closed on its own finally, so I was like, okay, I'll relaunch. Chugga 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 for real. This was definitely a good conversation. I didn't even need to use my
Yeah.
notes, which is awesome. This conversation was way better than my notes even were. I was very glad about that.
Yeah, it's good times.
Oh, he has alt again? He just alt?
Love you, Stimpicus. Thank you for being here. What is going on? My webcam is being weird.
Stuff's going crazy.
Yeah. This is weird. Walk the doggo. Oh yeah, you can join. Let me just I have to pee really bad. I may have been holding it for a while, I'm not sure. I was hyper focusing. Hyperfixated. Give me 5 and I'm in den. Alright. We're gonna take a potty break. Grab some water, go to the bathroom. BRB y'all.
Jax, do
Alright,
something.
I'm back, but I'm gonna try and.
You're worth no money.
What the fuck is happening?
No. She got this. You got the S? Come on, you can do it. I believe. Oh.
Till you're fucking sick.
Doing only one step clean up the puppy.
Favorite little nasty thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still puppy food left. Alright. What? No. Why is it being like this? Wild and I'm gonna close Discord, I guess.
She's basically one of those champs that looks like she's way more complicated. If that's what you're at.
It said I was still in here. That's so strange.
One of those champs for sure. I'm like, oh my god, that champ's fucking
Did not
crazy.
fix it.
That play-
Oh well.
You just click on things? Oh.
I can't figure
Okay.
it out.
Okay. No.
Finish. Probably AFK. AFK. The lo-fi's been great. I haven't even like been hearing the music hardly. It's great background noise. I don't remember what we were talking about. I feel like we were knees deep in a topic. If anybody knows, let me know.
He got these minions, I believe him. He got this Jax.
Oh yeah, labels. I think we're talking about labels.
We lost him.
Rest in peace.
Hello.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
Put me in, coach. Welcome. LOL, that puppy's got her nip in a latch. Finish.
Finished. We can't hear you.
Give me 1 second. God damn it. What about now? See if you can join the channel on your own.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's longer.
Hey yo.
There you go.
There we go.
Hey yo. Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Did you have anything specific that you wanted to say?
No, I'm waiting for something to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of. We don't really need to talk about the same topic. Let me look in my notes.
I was just about to say, what do your notes say?
There's a lot of shit in here. Let me look at them.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. I meant to ask him because he was saying that all of the men figures in his life were like money and women. But I was gonna ask if any of them were married and like did he not know any men that were married? And like that could go two different ways.
Yeah.
I've
But
always
he
been
left
open to
us.
being gay and stuff because I've had gay uncles like most of my life.
Oh, you just put his alt up?
And most of them came up in a time when that just wasn't something to talk about.
Yeah. One of them, one of my uncles did drag shows actually. So
Nice.
I think that he also, like, he had actually spoken on how he felt like a woman in a man's body type of stuff. So I've always
Yeah.
kind of been open to, like, the fact that people do feel that way. And I don't know why they feel that way. And if they really are that, or if something happens to you that makes you feel that way, or societal grooming makes you feel that way. That's a big problem for me with like the binary issue. I think the binary is an issue because of our society's pressure of putting gender and people of genders in a box, of sexes, I should say. I don't even know. Sorry, I don't know how to be politically correct about this conversation, but I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Is like so like I don't think that non-binary is bad. I think that it is new though, and it's not necessarily new to time itself, but it's new to our society because our society has pushed us in this direction, and that is a thing that happens that people are so shocked about. It's like as things in the world change, like new things happen, new things are created for the new world. We're living in a new society temperament, so there's going to be new things that come out of it, which that's one of those things is people deciding to be non-binary, and it makes people really mad. But it's like the people who are mad about the non-binary are also the people who push that to happen, which is really similar to the other conversation of the incel type men are being pushed farther into that by just being ostracized by everybody else.
And I do want to mention it's to Western society because we have writings from
Finish just saying his mic's not working. Why is your mic
No,
not working?
what do you mean?
Oh, am I reading the old one? Sorry.
Probably.
What were you saying, Carrie?
that it's mostly Western society because many ancient writings and especially stories passed down through Native American tribes, people along the spectrum have been recognized as part of their own society for hundreds of years.
Huh?
Yeah.
Can you talk more on that?
Yeah, non-binary people and also what was seen as homosexual people, they were
Yeah.
called two-spirit.
Okay, so like, yeah, because that's what I was
And
trying
they were
to say.
just
Was that,
accepted
like, I don't
parts of the
think-
society.
Yeah, I don't think that non-binary started now. I think that
Yeah.
we're just ignorant to it because we don't teach it in our education. That's
Yeah.
what I meant, where like it's not new to the world in
Yeah,
general.
yeah.
But it's new to us because so many people think that's like the same thing with the gay shit, where people were like, "Ugh, God says this," and it's like, okay, but like there are so many cultures and so many religions for so long that have embraced different ways than us, but we're not taught them because our education system wants us to think there's a certain way to be. But if you learn things outside of Western education, you learn crazy shit. And it's like it's kind of like people that don't move outside their hometown. You know what I mean? Like, they're so
Yeah.
ignorant to the way anything outside their hometown works. You only know what you see, which is kind of why
Yeah.
social media is cool in a way, because it allows you to expand your knowledge by not actually going very many places, but it's biased knowledge because it's social media. So it's like double-edged sword.
The way the algorithm works.
Yeah.
Things you already like, it's going to show you more of that. And so it
Things you
becomes just an
interact
echo.
with.
Yeah, yeah. And so it becomes like this echo chamber of ideas. So the ideas that you put out there are the ideas that you interact with. And so those are the ones that just keep coming back.
Yeah. What did I miss? Wait, so Lopez, what is your culture? Because that's really interesting to me. But yeah, that's why I have a really hard time with Christianity. Like, it's such a
I would
it's just
say
like a
that most
Western
people
scam.
most people that say they have a problem with Christianity, it's not Christianity itself, it's with Christians.
I kind of like, yeah, that's the thing is, if people that were Christian practiced Christianity in a way that wasn't bad to society in any way, shape, or form, society would not scrutinize Christianity the way that we do, into basically screaming that this shit isn't real to try and get these people off our backs. Like other cultures, we don't boil their cultures down and be like, your shit's not real, get off our asses, because they're not on our asses. That's what Christians don't understand. Is like, we are so up your ass about how bullshit that shit is because you're so up our asses in every way, shape, or form in our lives about how it is. Trying to enforce control from your religion. So we have to yell and scream that that shit is not real. If you did not affect us with your religion, we would not have to talk about it.
There's a pastor I follow on TikTok, and essentially what he says is, Jesus told us to do one thing: love your neighbor.
Yeah.
That's all he told us to do.
Literally.
So, yeah. It's not up to us to judge sin. It's not up to us to declare what God said, it's up to us to show love to one another. That's it.
Live like Jesus.
Yeah.
And Jesus, we all are well aware of the way that Jesus lived, so
Yes.
it's just
Jesus was a tree hugging hippie
yeah.
and
It's
a liberal.
crazy, man. It's the
So,
way that like it just doesn't make
Oh boy.
sense. Like people
Yeah.
use
I mean,
this religion to
yeah.
just live in such a distorted reality. It's actually it just hurts my brain. It literally hurts my brain.
And Jesus talked to a prostitute and said, to the people who were persecuting her, said, "He who is without sin, cast the first stone. If you have never sinned in your life, then you can cast stones."
Yeah.
And he didn't tell the prostitute that she had to repent or anything like that. He just loved her as another person.
Yeah. So
So
crazy, man.
I don't know.
The power
Yeah.
of unconditional love. That's what Christianity is trying to teach. But unfortunately, they beat around the bush a little bit too much about it, I think. Too many words. It should be one page. The Bible should be one page. that would make it so much more simple. You can't really read between the
Like,
lines.
we
There's
have
no
the 10
lines. It's one
rules.
line. Yeah, that's really nice. I like that.
Don't steal,
I'm really
don't
quiet,
kill.
probably because I'm far from my microphone. Sorry.
Rory?
But yeah, that's why, like, I'm not anti-religion, and honestly, I don't even give a fuck if you're Christian. Like, I'm pro do what makes your life better, and if Christianity genuinely makes your life better, which I believe it can, then
Yeah.
I'm pro that. I'm pro-choice,
Yeah.
unfortunately, in many things.
Yeah. It makes
Bump
my
up
life
the gain
better.
a bit. Bump it up. Bump that gain up. Fix my webcam. It's all fucked up. If you're leaving, bring that chisel chair over here. Show my butt some love. That sounds bad.
In our Bible, it says to treat others how you would like them to treat you.
But that's not even a good thing.
Why not?
Because people want to be treated differently. Treat people the way that they want to be treated. And if you don't know, treat them with respect. And hopefully
So
they
you
have...
don't want to be treated with respect?
Well, I'm not saying that people... That's the thing. Treat people with respect. But just saying treat people the way you want to be treated is not... That's not it.
Oh boy.
It's not the right thing to say. That's what
Who
I'm
are you
saying.
to say that it's not the thing?
What do you mean?
I don't know, man.
I mean, I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to say to everybody. It just depends who you're talking to.
Yeah, and of course, if you're a fucking masochist, then we have a big problem. But
Exactly.
they're only like I'm not
Treat
religious,
people
so
how you
I
wanna
don't
be
know
treated.
shit about
It
it.
just depends how you want to be treated. Some people like to be hugged. Some people don't like to be hugged. Some people like
No, but I don't think, Jonathan, that it's that specific. Meant to be that specific. You aren't supposed to dissect it that far.
That's not very far. You could greet somebody with a hug. A hug could be a
Oh my
greeting
God.
for one person and not for another, but if you're living off of the idea of like treat people how you want to be treated, that just goes so far. That if you put that into every aspect of life, which that's what you should do. When you say things to people, it bleeds into every aspect of their life. So it's like if you say that, then everything they do in life, they're gonna think of the way that they want it done for themselves.
I don't know, Jonathan.
and they're-
Blame Martin Luther, okay?
I'm not blaming
The
anyone.
Catholics blame Martin Luther.
What do you mean Jesus wasn't white. God is a woman. Apparently, to Lopez, God is transgender. Well, one of them.
Yeah, I went to a men's retreat recently, and the point of discussion was the masculinity of Jesus. And the it says in the Bible that God created man and woman in his image. So what does that tell you? God is either both or neither,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So God was both.
I don't
Or
think God was
neither.
either. I think God is neither. Well, we still say he because of, religious ingraining,
Yeah.
but I think God is neither.
But do you think that God is a humanoid like being?
I don't know. I don't believe so.
Okay. Obviously nobody knows, and we both know that nobody knows, but I was just wondering what you
Yeah.
think. Yeah. Because I think
I don't
God
believe.
is like everything and the universe and just like
Here's what I believe. I just like uh, we have to think about it in the same way that uh, we think about insects, right? Insects have no understanding of humans, right?
mm-hmm.
They don't understand humans at all. Even if they had the capacity to study humans, would they be able to understand? I don't think so. And in the same way, based on how God is described in the Bible, humans cannot physically understand what or who God actually is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I, I,
That makes sense to me.
I believe that God was assigned he because that's how
It's
humans
digestible.
can understand. Right, it's digestible.
Yeah.
And the things that we read about in the Bible are put there in a language that we can understand. There's so much more. I believe there's so much more that Christians have no understanding of because we can't. Humans are not physically capable of understanding.
Eldritch madness. What is that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's funny that somebody mentioned that. So Eldritch madness describes the madness someone uh, feels from the elder gods. I don't know if you know like stories of like Cthulhu,
Mm-mm.
but like once you come in contact with Cthulhu, you go mad. And it's not because of who Cthulhu is, but it's because Cthulhu has given you knowledge, like his god level knowledge, and then taken it away from you. And that's why you're going mad. So, yeah. So, like, think of like an ant suddenly understands accounting, and then you take all of that knowledge away. He still has memory of those things, but he has no understanding of them.
Hmm.
That's, that's Eldritch Madness. So you understand the ways of God, and you understand the the true nature of the universe based on Cthulhu's knowledge, and then he takes it away from you.
Okay. What is the origin of this?
Cthulhu.
Is that like a religion?
No, it's
Oh my.
What is this? I want to
Cthulhu,
learn about this so bad.
Cthulhu is a mythology.
Oh, mythology. Okay.
Yeah, Cthulhu and the Elder Gods.
Got you.
Yeah, Cthulhu is generally portrayed as, well, I mean, for lack of a better, for a pop culture reference, uh, picture like the head of Zoidberg from Futurama. So he's got like all these tentacles coming out of the bottom of his head. Anyways,
How do you spell it?
Cthulhu.
Red Defek.
Epic.
Yeah, that's a thing that always gets me though is there's a lot of religions that have so many different ways of using God in a term. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, that's not incorrect.
Yeah, my feeling, my gut feeling is that even though we have these different religions, if you really boil the religions down, um, most of them really come down to peace with inner self, balance with other people, um, and showing kindness. That's all. That's what almost all religions boil down to.
I wouldn't say all of them,
And
but I would say the most popular ones.
yeah, well, like what would you say is not?
I would say it could be my ignorance, but I feel like there are religions that have a lot of like uh moral code agenda. Like not everything that's a religion is necessarily based in very much legitimacy, or are all religions very much legitimate? I don't know if that makes sense. Because isn't the difference between like a cult and a religion is whether the person who started it is dead or not? So it's like religions aren't really necessarily like, you can't say religion and it necessarily means everything that's a religion, because isn't there just like a lot of religions that are just kind of like not heavily practiced, but also not heavily like scientifically supported and socially supported and XYZ, like things like that.
Yeah. Well, there's also a difference between a practiced religion and a cultural rite. So rites and rituals aren't necessarily seen as religion. So, like, I'll take a big example. I will take is Native American, many Native American cultures. They have a religion being that Earth is Mother, and they also have a lot of rituals, just like if you go to a gathering or what's typically termed a powwow,
Yeah.
you'll see a bunch of dances and things. Those dances are
Yeah.
not part of the religion. They're not part of the religion. Those are just rites and rituals.
Would you say it's part of the culture?
I'd say it's part of the culture, yes.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So part of the culture, but not part of the religion. So they have the rituals. Like the big one that everybody knows is, oh, somebody do a rain dance, whatever, that, which is not actually a thing. But that those dances, they're not part of the religion, even if they were something to try to invoke something. It's not part of the religion.
Yeah.
But what I was getting to is that generally there are certain principles that are present in all of the major religions,
Yeah.
including Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Taoism, all of these different religions, and they all refer to either God or gods. And my philosophy on that is that they're all talking about the same thing. And whether you call them God, or you call them Allah, or you call them Vishnu, or whatever you call them, that's just your interpretation of the manifestation of God.
Agreed.
So, like you were mentioning that God is everywhere, God is everything.
Yeah.
That is also partially my belief and understanding as well. And so that all of these different religions that are speaking to, and I'm doing air quotes, their God, it's really all the same entity.
Yeah. I agree.
It's
I said
just
the same exact
how,
thing. It's like
yeah,
the way that the world, in different areas of the world, in different kinds of people, in different cultures, it's the way that they are able to interpret and have a relationship
right.
with God. And it's like,
It's
I
their
think the
perception.
problem is that there's like the differences and people focus on that. And like
Yeah,
when you socially build too much of like a moral code to the
yeah,
religion and like control and this and that and like a hierarchy, I guess, like a religious
yeah,
hierarchy of like my
yeah,
religion is the right one, which that is a
yeah,
big thing that people hate about Christianity, or like not
yeah.
Christianity, but I don't know. Isn't that kind of what
All the different.
Christianity says though? Is that this is like the way and the only way? Because that's what so
Well,
many like
so
religions will preach, and that's really
yeah,
obnoxious.
a lot of them do say that. Islam says that.
So what the fuck is with that? Like, sorry, I don't know how to ask that. Like, it always pisses me off.
Well, here's the thing: is that isn't what their religious texts say. Their
Okay.
religious texts say God is the true way, right? So we come back to the fact that, yeah,
Ah.
we're
Oh
all speaking to and of
my gosh.
the same God. So
Oh,
that's,
oh, 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 I love this. I love this.
yeah. So that's my take on it.
Because yes, I believe this. I believe in manifestation, and that essentially means I believe you can manifest whatever spiritual practice you want. And if you can do that, then that means you can almost like choose. That's how I think people like can choose to find God
Yeah.
religiously in a Christian way, because like it's easier because there's so many people doing it. You find community, blah 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 blah,
Yeah, yeah.
and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But it's like you can literally make the choice by integrating it into your life, and by doing that,
Yeah.
it becomes real. What you choose to allow becomes real. If you don't, it's like
Yeah.
not for you. And that's how people can literally live in different like realities, because you can
Yeah.
just choose a reality if you want to.
And
Doing exact.
any picture or uh, statue or anything that we have that represents God, that's all that our puny, minuscule human minds can comprehend of what God is.
Yeah.
We cannot, our brains cannot comprehend that. And so it just did whatever it could to turn that input into something that we understand.
Yeah. Makes you wonder, how long have people thought about like the universe as a spiritual sense? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how long have people put God and the universe hand in hand? And has
Yeah.
there always been people like throughout time doing that, and it just hasn't reached, social majority, or maybe it's just Western teaching that never taught us that it ever would got popular. I don't fucking know. But another thing I was wondering was, you talk about psychedelics and
Yeah.
that kind of experience. What the fuck is that, and what does that have to say about God, religion, consciousness, the universe?
Yeah.
All of those things, and I'm so
Yeah.
curious.
And here's what we scientifically know about psychedelics. It alters the way your brain interprets the input. That's all it does. So we're still getting the same input, but our brain in the normal sober state, maybe it can't interpret some of this input. And maybe these psychedelic drugs are what allow our brains to interpret some of this other input.
Or maybe it's distorting the input.
Yeah. I mean, the closest I ever felt with my wife is when we were tripping on shrooms.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like we were having the exact same thoughts. I felt like we were having the exact same thoughts at the exact same time.
Oh, that's so fucking trippy.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a mystery.
It really is. That's why I love Dr. K, because he really takes a lot of like the spiritualness of like Eastern psychology and medicine and tries to like tie it in with his work that he does
Yeah.
using Western medicine and psychology. Because
Yeah.
what he says, and what I think is so true, is that like we're so good at doing things by the books and by the numbers, but like spiritually we are so ignorant and adept, that's not the word, inept, you know what I mean? Like we're incapable so badly spiritually. We are blocking our spiritual flow like consistently. And so we're just constantly like logic, statistics, numbers, facts. And I think it's just like so interesting, and it's so true, and it's like,
Something that I thought was kind of interesting during our discussion is, how you mentioned when they say something certain, then you suddenly just tune out.
yeah,
And I kind of noticed it because when Stemp had brought up that Dr. K had said, I'm not going to go into the whole patriarchy thing about, and I wanted to tune out at that point too, but I was too interested in what he was saying. And the very next thing he said was, because we know it exists.
yeah,
So that's why I thought, the whole tuning out thing directly whenever they say something, that might have actually happened for Stimp right then, because the very next thing he said was, because we know it exists.
And I do that. I will literally do that myself, where I'll get triggered by something and I don't hear the immediate words after that. It happens to me all the time. And I don't know if that is what happened to him, but like that happens to me all the time, and it could have happened. But he does do that, and he does say that.
Yeah, I try to listen. That's the big thing for me is I try to listen to people and see where they're going, see where they're coming from,
Yeah.
and it's so important for building an argument to know the background, to know the details of why, not just what they think, but why do they think that.
That's why you're going and doing what you're doing.
Yes.
100%. Because
Yeah.
that's how you help somebody is you don't try to
Yeah.
change what they're doing. You try and figure out what they're doing and
Why
why
they're
they're
doing
doing
it.
it.
Yeah.
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 100%. Figure them out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Preferably, with a little bit of compassion and empathy.
Yeah.
Not
It's
screaming and
funny. It's funny to me that the medical profession, the field of the medical profession, teaches you to perform the science and not to interact with the people. And yeah,
in
I
psychology or like medicine.
in medicine in general. So psychiatry,
Okay.
psychiatry, which is medicine,
Yeah.
and psychology is
The other.
behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Which that's what I want to go into is psychology. Um, but yeah, in general, and especially like medical doctors, they're taught uh, not to bond with their patients, and
Interesting.
so that's essentially they're being told close yourself off from your patients. Yeah, so their patients are they're folders with charts in them. That's what their patients are. They're not people.
Do they say why?
Um, it's because emotions. We know emotions can affect judgment,
True.
and your job as a doctor is to be impartial to the person, but to understand the disease or the symptoms that they're having.
But if that's not necessary in psychology and they're still trying to help them, why
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
doctors in the other fields realize that maybe having the connection could help you help them?
But there needs to be a limit because there are people who are gonna take advantage of that connection. A
yeah,
lot of people, and that's why, like, like I have a certain, of course, I bond with like the teens and kiddos at work, but there is like a certain point that I need to cut off. Like, okay, like, we cannot
Yeah.
be like this close.
Yeah, that makes
yeah.
sense. And that would require more training for more areas, right?
And I think one of the problems is that people who are empathic, it is difficult to be a doctor
Yeah.
because there is too much emotion actually involved in medicine. So you have to be able, you have to somehow balance that showing empathy, showing compassion with still being an effective doctor.
Yeah, you know what I think it is like the emotion isn't the point right now. And if it
Yeah,
was, it would be helpful for us because we want to focus on your emotions and we want to be able to help you focus on your emotions. But when you're a doctor, you can't. You're supposed to be focusing
yeah,
on this, so you need to ignore the emotions. But as an empathic person, you literally cannot because it's taking over
cannot.
you the way it's taking over them.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. But I do think with psychiatry,
Hmm.
I wonder, how much of that they should be a little bit more integrated to be making more helpful decisions with medicine.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
I
there's a
don't know how
lot
I
a lack
feel.
of communication and good communication
Yeah,
between all the parties sometimes.
I I don't know. I don't know how I feel about psychiatry in general.
Yeah.
To
I would
find out,
definitely look into ADHD things when thinking about that, because I think that there's a lot of psychiatrical whatever medicine that is extremely helpful,
yeah,
but it's just so heavily abused and
yeah,
misdiagnoses,
yeah,
um
diagnose. Yeah,
giving people medicine for the wrong things, giving them the wrong
yeah,
amount, XYZ. And I think that these are all issues that I don't think communication is the sole thing that causes it, but the lack of
right,
communicating. And I'm wondering if the
right,
lack of ability to connect with the person could be a thing too. Not that you need to have two psychologists, but that the
right, right.
psychiatrist should almost play a more integral part of what the psychologist is doing. I've heard people say that they like see and talk to their psychiatrist for like 5 minutes and they're gone, and it's just like it's just not good experiences. But I think that your
Yeah,
psychiatrist experience should be just as good as your psychologist experience should be. But it's just
yeah.
hard to have that standard.
Yeah, and I think another problem is um, people don't know the difference between psychology and psychiatry.
That's
And
true.
so when they have some kind of mental health issue, they immediately go to, I need to go see a psychiatrist. Well, not
Yeah.
necessarily. Not necessarily. It could be something that therapy could help with.
And
Like
that's partially because we have a heavily like we push meds. We don't push
yeah,
problem solving in
exactly.
society. We don't push
Yeah,
talking about the
we
problem,
push.
calling
Yeah,
people out, being honest, XYZ.
yeah.
And so doing all those things would make people need the medicine less, but
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah, our society is. What pill do I take to fix this?
yeah. And then that gives me a problem and I find a pill to fix that problem and blah 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 blah. And
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we're breaking through that. We're definitely breaking
yeah,
through that. And we're also breaking through an understanding that our social life has a direct impact on our health, physically and mentally,
yeah,
which is amazing. Super happy about that because people need to understand that if you're unable to have healthy, happy relations with humans in your life, you're going to
yeah,
be ill
yeah,
mentally, physically, spiritually. It's a
yeah,
triangle of you and your life and everything like, and it's
yeah,
just like all three corners matter and touch each other, and like
yeah.
they play into each other, but we're
Speak,
not being
speaking of
taught the right shit, I feel like.
yeah, speaking of interoperability and cooperation, it makes me think of this post I saw. It said, "What idiot decided that eye health and mouth health are not part of your health?"
No,
As
literally.
far as insurance is concerned, it's like, yeah, who decided that? Why do I have to have
Who
separate
did?
eye insurance, dental insurance? That should be covered under my health insurance.
Makes no fucking sense. No sense.
Yeah,
Love
I
that.
am
That's
happy
so
to
true.
see within the last 15 years or so, most health insurance also covers mental health.
Yeah, that's true. We're getting there. We're
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
there.
So that's helpful. It's just a matter of it's been it's been not touted, but the opposite of that. It's been poo-pooed for so long that the mental health industry isn't even ready for insurance. And
Yeah.
so it's like, oh, I need to find a mental health professional. They're all over, but none of them take insurance
Yeah. And the ones
because
that
they,
do are no bueno. They're bottom of the
yeah,
barrel type.
and it's like that they haven't been integrated into that medical environment, so they're not prepared for that yet. They're
Yeah.
just not built for that yet.
Not built that way.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep. People don't think it be like it is.
People think it be like it be, but it do.
They do.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of me wants to be a psychologist, but it's just like I really don't know if I can do the whole school thing. But um, that's where I genuinely I'm struggling so much between I don't want to invalidate where things are genuinely very difficult for me, but I need to also stop I can't. I can't myself into the fucking ground. I can't myself about so many things, and going to college is one of
Same.
those things where I have said I can't do that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
maybe I don't always say that to
Yeah.
people, but in my head, that's how I feel about it.
Right.
I don't
I get
think
that.
I'm capable of handling math class, English class, social studies,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck are the classes I'm not going to be able to avoid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I knew I could go to
Mhm.
school and avoid those, I'd be way happier. You know what I mean? That's why I've considered going to like an art school, like Full Sail Universities over in Central Florida. And I used to live over there, so I talked to people about going there at one point, but I didn't want to go to Full Sail. There's art schools over here where I live. I've thought about doing it, but it's like I don't even have a specific category in art that I'm specifically passionate about. I'm just overall artistic and passionate about art. So I don't really want to go to college about something specific artistically either. But psychology is something where I could go to school and I could there's so many things I could do. I could partake
Yeah.
in studies. I could have personal
Mhm.
clients. I could do, I'm really inspired by Dr. K and what he does. And
Yeah.
that's where this is starting. Like, he inspired me to want to do this when I was already thinking about doing
Yeah.
it previously. And it's like, it seems even more so. It's almost like he's screaming to the world, like, no, like, we need to do this. And that's
Yeah.
how I feel. I agree. You know what I mean? I don't think that, I don't just
Yeah.
want to talk to my riders about how they're doing. I feel like I need to talk to my riders about how they're doing. Because if I don't, nobody's going to fucking do it.
Yeah.
And that
Who will?
terrifies me.
Yeah.
And that's how he says in the thing, hug a man. Because if you
Yeah.
don't, nobody's
Who
going to. And
will?
I'm like,
Yeah.
that's fucking terrifying. Imagine, like, some of you don't have to imagine because you are living it. But imagine nobody ever hugs you.
Yeah.
I literally,
Yeah.
that makes me so sad. And like, I don't hug
That's
that
like
many
a
people,
dead
but I
world.
get to hug people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fucking hate that. It makes me so sad. That whole fucking saying, Specs. It makes me so sad, and it's so true.
Yeah.
And the
I
sad thing
haven't
is,
gotten one.
men are conditioned to not want them. Some men don't want them, and some men are able to admit, like, no, actually, I think that would be nice. Or maybe just something else, like, something like a edible arrangement. Like, Tyler would go ham. He would love that. You know what I mean? That's something that
No,
I
but
could
the
do.
gesture is the thing, not the thing that you're getting.
Exactly, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do think that there are men that genuinely would just like something similar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier in the discussion, I saw that post that said men are so starved for attention. Give them a
Yeah.
genuine compliment; they'll do anything for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where it's like, it's crazy. I don't know, like, I just be dishing out compliments like crazy, but sometimes you notice, like, I definitely notice people's reactions to getting compliments. I notice my own
Yeah.
reaction to getting compliments. I'm like almost constantly like hyper analyzing everything. It's so annoying. But it's like, yeah, I think women go from either like accepting the compliment or they steer the conversation into like, oh, I got it from this place, or oh, it was cheap, or they just try and say something about what you're complimenting to negate, to steer away from the fact that you're complimenting them, or they'll just deny it, whatever, not accept it. Men, they're the ones that will actually be like shocked. Like, if you compliment them, they'll be like, huh? You know what I mean? But that's another thing is like, it's gotten to the point where if as a woman you do show normal kindness to a man, they think that you are more interested in them than you
Yeah.
are. Because they're
Yeah.
so used to women not being that way. So, with that being said, the whole go hug a man thing is very difficult. And in my opinion,
Yeah.
this is something that me and Tyler have talked about, because this is something that I believe is the same in multiple categories, and it's the sex and gender issue, it's the racial issue, and it's probably a lot of other issues, but it's like the person that has the issue needs to want to change first.
Exactly.
And like, not
Yeah.
saying that every man's going to collectively change, but I'm going to say, like, it's
Right.
going to be hard for women to hug. Like, we still have to gauge which men we are safe to hug, because there could be a
Exactly.
safety thing there. And that's something that we have to talk about too, of like, hopefully with this compassion and empathy that we give men, it makes less men this way. And then we can
Yeah, and I-
normalize touching men in a way that doesn't spike their arousal, if that makes sense. But the
Right,
reason
and
that
I
it
think-
is that way is because of this.
Yeah, and I think that starts with other men.
Yes,
Right?
yes, yes. Thank
We
you.
have to nurture that community that says it is safe to feel. Not only is it safe to feel, it is safe for us to talk about how you feel.
And touch each other. Like in other
Yeah.
cultures, men will like touch each other physically. People will
Yeah.
talk about traveling to other countries and the way that the men will be so physically intimate with each other. They'll hold hands, they'll put their arms around each other, they're hugging all the time, they're just always touching each other, interacting in a physical intimacy. Physical intimacy in America equals, like, for men, romantic.
Yeah.
When it shouldn't
yeah.
be that way. Girls can
The
hold hands with
word-
another girl, and it's like, oh, they could be besties or they could be lovers. If two guys are holding hands in America, they're gay. Period,
Yeah,
point
yeah.
blank. Nobody would be like, oh, they might be friends. No. Nobody thinks
No.
that in American Western thinking, but in other countries,
Yeah.
that is a possibility.
Well, and that's also because of the co-opting of the word intimacy, and you already hit on that.
Yes.
Is that in the U.S., intimacy means sex,
sex? Yes. But yes.
and that
yes.
just isn't true. That isn't true.
It's not true.
My wife and I have a tremendously intimate relationship, but I am asexual. We do
Yeah.
not have sex,
Preach
so
it, Carrie.
it's not about sex.
Preach it, Carrie. I fuck my buddies, he said. But yeah, that's why, like, oh my god, I love when men love other men, and when men are affectionate to other men, when men are hugging other men and supporting other men. Like, as much as I think women need to be doing this, men need to be doing this probably more. Or maybe at least first. I'm not sure. Simultaneously, that's probably the best answer. You know what
I
mean?
would say first. I would say men need to foster the community among men first. And once we get that done, then mixing it with intergender will be easier.
Why you
I
laughing?
agree.
This is
Yeah,
serious.
no, that
That's why I'm
Why so
fucking
serious?
away. Oh god. Not right now, honey.
Carrie got it.
That's okay.
Yeah. But it has to start with men. And it starts
Aw,
with
I love that.
parents raising boys. I mean, that's where it starts, because most of everything
Oh,
that we've
yeah.
been talking about, the issues that need to be addressed, they're behavior problems, and they are learned behaviors.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard that's a girl thing or that's a boy thing. And I've had to,
Yeah,
like,
no.
let's break this down. Let's
Yeah.
psychoanalyze this. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh my good. Oh boy. I need to go. I need to. It's so fucking late.
Get you some sleep, Finish.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, Finish.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Love you.
Love you. I love that though. Did you guys start saying you love each other? I mean, is it finished? Because yeah.
Yeah, that was Finish. I hardly know him, so I can't genuinely say I love him.
Oh yeah, you're good.
I do like him,
Yeah.
but
But that's
I don't really know him.
where if you say
We
you
can get
love
there.
someone,
I love Stimp.
it means more.
I love Stimp, right?
You know? Someone who says I love you to anybody, it just holds
Yeah.
way less weight.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I hate to bail on you as well, but
you're good.
it's about
It's been
about
a
half an
long
hour
one.
past my dinner time.
Oh wow, yeah, definitely need to eat some food.
Yeah, so I think somebody made some homemade enchiladas downstairs.
Oh
But...
fuck. Oh, that
yeah,
sounds
exactly.
so good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wednesday I made homemade quesadillas Taco Bell style.
Oof. I
So.
want some food now, and I just ate before we started, which was like 2.5 hours ago. So yeah, I shouldn't eat, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna. But I'm gonna.
Yeah. Gonna.
Thank you, Carrie. Though I had such a good time.
All right.
This went way
Yeah,
better
me
than
too.
I even expected, to be honest.
Yeah, I enjoy being on discussion panels, so yeah.
Yes, we'll do it again.
Ready to do it again.
We'll discuss. Yeah, I am too, but I don't want to, do it too often, burn anyone out. So we'll discuss when we'll do it again.
Yep. Just post it in the channel.
Hell yeah.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night.
And see you later. I do love you.
Oh yeah, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, is my webcam going crazy?
Why?
No. Yes.
Why did you
A
say?
little bit.
Why did you say? Is your webcam going crazy?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying I love you, bro. You know what I mean? You're still saying it.
That.
Love you, bro. Love you, man. You know? I think girls might even do the same thing, like, love you, girl. This went very well. I had a really good time talking about things. I feel like I learned. I feel like I understand things. My mind feels open. My mind is agape. Yeah, I definitely get you, Finish. But I still appreciate you for being here and participating as much as you did. You still a man. You definitely still said things that contributed a decent amount, so. Oh, you need to get ready for bed.
Did you just look at the time?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, what
It's
time?
9:39. Go brush your teeth.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that pretty much every single thing that we talked about could have gone in so many different directions, or could have been like stayed in the same place and divulged even more, honestly. So honestly, if anything, if y'all have anything that you want to talk about, write that shit down and save your own notepad for discussion panels, and we can like literally we can discuss anything really, like, and we can, if the topic is really most are, but if the topic is, you know, favorable enough and widespread enough, we can just like do the whole discussion panel on a topic. Don't know how well we're gonna do at staying on topic. Go brush your teeth. Yes. I do. Donnie's secret den. You have my first den. Okay, let me explain how this works. I go here. Oh wait, hold on. I go here when I'm down to talk to anybody and everybody. I go here when I want to talk to anybody within a certain diameter of people, of closeness would be. I go here when I don't want to talk to anybody, but I'm down to potentially drag people in. And then if I'm already here and I need to go further into a hidden room with somebody or more people to hide even further, I go here. Whether that's by myself or with other people, I'm not sure. Sometimes happens, both happen, I'm sure. You're pushing me out of the community. That's just your reality. You seem to think that your reality is truth. That's just your impression. That's not my intention. Yeah. I'm a goofy goober like that. I'm a goofy goober, yeah. Nah, you can stay on there. I don't care. Trying to decide my next plan of action. It is 9:43. Okay, be safe, okay? That's good. That's definitely good. It's not far. Read my golden rule. What's the golden rule? Yes. I agree with that. And I think it was meant to be helpful, and it could be helpful. So I guess a good question is, why the fuck is it so hard for people who are so religious to be nice people? Is it because the religion doesn't genuinely reinforce its beliefs? Because in other people's religions, I feel like that's kind of the situation is what makes people act good in their religion is the religion actually upholds the practices that it tells you to do. I don't know. I don't know. My brain is stuck on the word standards. I mean, I've met like nice Christians as well, but I've met nice people of all kinds. I wouldn't even say the nicest people I've met were Christian. I think that's the tism. I'm just saying, like, what makes people act good? And what's making such a mass amount of American Christians not good? Why is so much of American religion tied into really heinous things that are going on in the world? Like human and child trafficking, pedophilia, Where did their morals and beliefs come from? If it's supposed to come from their religion, it's obviously not, right? Because other people who believe that don't do those things. So the religion isn't teaching you to traffic your children and abuse them and neglect them and X, Y, and Z. And so why is that such a popular thing in some places here? Like, why is Christianity so warped here? You know what I mean? That's why I think the Bible needs to stop being so long and saying so many things and
I want to cast
saying things in
magic
such
missile.
weird ways. Like, just say what you mean. So beat around the bush, so coded, so read between the lines. It's almost like it's made to be easy to mistranslate. Not to mention the English translation of the Bible is incorrect. Like, proven to be an incorrect translation. But even with this knowledge, it does not shake any fucking grasp that Christianity and the beliefs that it apparently has over American culture. It's wildin'.
Is this someone in your chat, Mom?
Huh?
Is this someone in your chat?
Mm-hmm.
Who is it?
In the Discord? No. In the chat? Yeah.
Oh, Discord.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I feel like the wild, wild west is referring to all of America, all of the United States of America.
I brushed my teeth. Hi, West.
If you only need to know one thing about the Bible to be able to read it easily, at a minimum, that thing should be the first thing you read when you read the Bible. Is it? What do you mean? That's how we have the rules. What do that mean? What's why?
I brushed my teeth, Mom.
Okay.
Can we do bedtime?
Very soon.
Okay.
Is your bed cleaned off?
No,
Can you go do that?
I'm gonna need help with it.
Is there clothes on the bed?
Yes.
Put the clothes on the washer.
Okay.
Anything that's like clothes, blankets, towel, anything like that, just put it on the washer for me.
Okay.
Yes, please do, Russ. DM it to me though, so I don't lose it.
What do I do with the potty? What do I do with the pads? I mean, the diapers for Mundo.
Put those on the washer.
To them in the washer?
On top of the washer. Don't put anything in it, just put it on top.
Okay.
What are the 10 rules? I don't know these 10 rules. The heck is this? I'm so glad I got more milk. It's horrible. The 10 Commandments. Isn't that an American thing? Me either. Yeah, I'm the one with the horrible education. Just kidding. Not all America has bad education. I sure as hell did. Or at least I was poorly educated. Alright, y'all. We streamed for about 3 hours. It was an amazing discussion. I feel like this is all I want to do a lot of the times is just talk deeply about literally almost anything. Like, not almost anything, but like important topics at a minimum. So, I'm very excited about this and excited to see how often we can do this. Thank you for coming. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for lurking. Thank you for participating, y'all. If you said something in the chat and it didn't get read, I apologize. I knew it was gonna happen, but it does bother me a little bit. You know, I want people to be heard. Always feel free to put your message in the chat multiple times. And maybe even ask a mod to pin it if that's necessary. But until next time, peace out, y'all. Go hug a man. Moral of the fucking story, okay? Go hug a man.